Nothing in life is linear, and that includes our education and employment journey. Whether you earned your GED as an adult, decided a four-year college wasn't the right path for you, or you're looking to employ a talent pool of competent candidates eager to join the workforce, you've come to the right place. Join me for Education Unplugged, where I can talk to learners, educators, and employers looking to destigmatize the educational road less traveled. We're here to make a positive impact today and for generations to come. It only takes one person to invest and connect with a learner for their belief in themselves to transform the future. From test taker to change maker, we're here sharing the stories of people who have taken a non-traditional path to a better life. Well, welcome to the first GED podcast. This has been long awaited podcast. For years, we've been talking about doing this. And why we're doing the podcast is that we all at GED believe it's critical that we have these deep, raw conversations on how the GED is out there changing lives. And it's not only changing the lives of those individual learners that take and earn their GED, but we know that the GED is creating opportunities for generations to come. The GED is at the heart of opportunities for learners, for jobs, for confidence, for who each of our learners are as an individual. We know that the GED is a start for our learners to really have the confidence in themselves to go on to dream big, to fulfill jobs, to go on to college, and to continue upskilling, knowing that what they're doing is filling their lifelong dream of having the American dream, like all of us, of having a sustainable wage and taking care of their family. I'm so excited to have our first guest on the GED podcast, Miss Kelly Blair-Har. Kelly Blair-Har and I met years ago at a GED conference where she was recognized as the Teacher of the Year. And immediately I fell in love with Kelly's story, her admiration for learners, and her commitment to giving back to the GED community. And I know that you will love Kelly as much as I do. She's here to tell her story, what the GED has done for her, and then what she's doing for all the learners that she touches along the way. So Kelly, welcome to the first GED podcast.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. It's a little bit surreal, isn't it? To finally be doing this.
It is surreal. Yes. Yes, we've been talking about it for so long. And we know you and I have so many deep conversations about the GED, right. Who we are, who we impact, and how we need to do more. And we have to do more every single day, and that this is a responsibility of each and every one of us. And we also know that you're an example of it takes one person, right? One leader, one person, one mom, dad, one teacher, one aunt, one uncle to change the lives of our GED learners. And that's exactly why I have you here, is you're that person that touches every single learner, every single adult educator, every single human that you talk to. So I'd love for you to tell everyone who is Kelly Blair-Har and talk to me about your story. Tell everyone your story.
Well, with my story, I look at it as a full circle at this point right now. Like I said, it's a real one too, just like us finally being able to do this podcast. Because I'm sitting here with you, Vicki, CEO and president of GED Testing Service. And I would have never have thought in my life that something of this magnitude would happen. Because this moment takes me back to my freshman year of high school, right? And within 6 months of high school, I was expelled from high school in my freshman year that quickly. And I don't know if you knew this, but it was because of fighting and selling drugs. And so just saying that I'm in disbelief that was me. But it also goes back to the circumstances that happened in my life to where that was all I could be. I decided to be the person that everyone thought I was going to end up being anyway, knowing that it wasn't truly me. I would say, let me take you back even further. Growing up, I have a twin brother, and we grew up with my father. We were abandoned by our mother at probably about the age of 2. So we had a very rough start. But I have to say, I love my dad because he took care of us. The problem was my dad was an alcoholic. And so there were times that, we ended up being homeless a lot. We struggled with money. I remember sleeping on park benches, at close to the school, elementary school that I went to. I'll never forget that memory out of my head. But I do have to say my dad was the best dad he could possibly be because he always kept us together. No matter what, we were just always together. And he struggled a lot, as well. And so there I have like so many memories of things that I then thought were normal because that's what was around us, and growing up with being at homeless shelters and going to churches for your next meal, squatting. I didn't even know what squatting was. I just thought that, when we went into this apartment, it just didn't have electricity. It was an apartment that we were in, as residents, months ago, and now we're breaking back into it. But it just did not occur to me that those things were going on. And when you're in that environment, when you're in that surrounding, it is normal until somebody tells you that it's not, And so,
That's right.
it's when I was going through school, when under those circumstances, education is like number 10, or 15, on your list of things you need to get done. You don't think about it, And I remember going to school, and I was thinking about last night. I had a dream last night of occurrence that really happened, and I was stealing lunches from my classmates because I was hungry. Right?
You're hungry.
Yeah.
It was survival mode. That's all you knew.
Exactly. That's all I knew. And then when my brother and I became twins, we started going our separate ways, and I began struggling a lot with my self-identity. And I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And being a girl, my father, wasn't sure what he was supposed to do either. And so, I decided that I had enough, and I went on my own. And I left home for a while, and got into a lot of trouble, and I started acting out. When I was acting out, I think it was because I didn't know how else to express myself or what was going on, with myself, internally and externally within my environment. And so I ended up being in a lot of fights because it was physical emotion. That was the only way that I could express it, and of course I got into the selling of drugs because that was money. I started hanging around, dealers and gangbangers, and it was a place to live too, because, I got tired of being on the streets when we were homeless. So I'm like, I'm going to go crash at my friend's house, that type of thing. And I'll tell you, when I got expelled, it was actually the best thing that ever happened. And because I was sent to, I went in front of a judge, and the judge told me what was going on. And then I was in front of the school board. When you were expelled, you have to go in front of a school board for a hearing. And I remember being so young, and they asked me and my father, who had to take me, why I could not be like everybody else. I will never forget those words. Why couldn't I be like everybody else? And in my heart, in my mind, I'm like, I can. I just don't know how to express it or how to do it. And so I was given a choice of Job Corps or juvenile hall. I chose Job Corps, right? I chose Job Corps because it's a roof over my head. It's not a cell or anything like that. And hey, I get food. And at that time, I didn't know what a GED was. I was going because it was a place to be, So I got there, and it was there that I decided, okay, I can do something different. And what triggered that was my teacher. My teacher at Job Corps, right, had said I had something special going on with myself. I had no idea what she meant. And I'm like, okay. And, she just kind of took me under her wing. And that was the first time I felt special, and that I could be something different. And so it was that educator. So I went on it and got the GED. After the GED, by this time, it was great. My father had sobered up. He found love. He got married. My twin brother actually graduated from high school, the high school I was supposed to graduate from. So he was doing fine. And I came home. I came home to my father. We made amends. Things were growing great. You know how parents tell you, you got to get a job or go to school, one or the other.
Go to school, right? Yes.
So I chose. Look, education wasn't for me because I just have a GED. So I chose to go to work. And so I remember working at a Kmart, and then a coworker of mine, and I'll never forget her name, Carla. because I'm still looking for Carla.
Carla.
I'm still looking for Carla,
Yes.
right?
Okay. So Carla, if Carla's out there, we need to find her.
Yes. It's Karla. And I can't remember her last name, but I know I can find her somehow. And so Carla had noticed I have ability to draw. And I do. I like to draw animations, and I like to paint and so forth. And so I was drawing while on the job one day, and she says, you should go to the community college and take an art class. And I said, no, absolutely not.
Amazing. You're thinking to yourself, I just drew this. I'm at work at Kmart and Carla's telling me to go to the community college.
Yeah. And I have automatically refused because I just automatically came flashing back was the experience I already had in education. And that just wasn't going to happen. I just think it just wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. And then Carla one day picks me up because I wasn't driving. I didn't have a license. I was just working at Kmart. And then she took me, I thought we were going to a movie. She got me. And she took me straight to the registration of Northern Virginia Community College, paid for the art class, and took it with me. She is the only reason why I stepped foot inside a community college. And then it was there that I learned to grow. Because of other people, mentors, just like you were saying, it just, takes one person who could be that person for you.
Just takes one.
Yeah. And then,
right.
And so I met a whole bunch. I met a whole bunch of them, and I'm like, wow, they genuinely care. And it was at that point I decided, instead of becoming a Disney animator, which I thought I was going to do, I decided to want to be a teacher.
Well, that's fascinating. I didn't know that about you. Yeah. Oh, I can see it now.
Thank you. And so I was just like, okay, I want to be that. I want to be that teacher. So at the community college, I had started, telling my story a little bit of just going from a GED and how to, going through the associate's degree just back then. And I would visit local alternative education schools that had, that were housing juvenile delinquents, and just talk to them even way back then. And then, I ended up going, transferring to Virginia Tech and then George Mason, earning the bachelor's and and the master's, etc. And then I ended up in the classroom. I finally ended up in the classroom. And as a special education teacher, thank you, right? As special education teacher, because I also received special education services. So I wanted to be a special education teacher. And there, I felt that I couldn't do it. Waves of fear. I'm like, what was I thinking? Waves of fear. But then it took me a while to find my groove, I'll say, with teaching. And so, and then I just became myself. And so I, taught for about, 20 years. And through that is, I won a national teaching award, and ended up meeting you and so forth. And I started an adult education tutoring program in the evenings. So I was teaching during the day, middle school and high school, math and science, and then GED students in the evening. And I had won that national teaching award, and I could not believe that was happening to me. And it allowed me to realize the platform that I have. And I decided after 20 years of teaching middle school and high school that I wanted to solely focus on adult education. And so it came to this point here. And here's where I am.
Here you are. Yeah. Here's where you are. And it's so, Kelly, as I sit and I listen to your story, and I know so much about you, and I hear all of the challenging times that you had along the way, whether it was through your mom or dad, through the K through 12 system, through juvenile, through making bad decisions, of which, by the way, we all make bad decisions every day. And it's as simple as one life tragedy. We are all one life tragedy away from a bad decision or something happening in our life. And so I hear your story. I see you sitting here today as someone who has a PhD, their GED, a master's, a bachelor's. What do you tell every learner out there that knows and wants to get their GED, knows it's really hard to get their GED? What do you tell them? And they're sitting in the exact same chair that you were 25 years ago.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I would say every learner, studying for their GED, that their story is uniquely their own, but they're not alone, and they don't have to travel alone. And the importance of finding that support system, or that one person that no matter what will be your personal cheerleader and walking right beside you. Because I know I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have that support. And I still have those people in my life as a support system. And we just don't have to do everything by ourselves, because we're used to struggle and used to being by ourselves. And I think that every adult learner is an adult learner for a reason. There's a reason why you are where you are. And I think every adult learner has, a world full of natural born talent and gifts that we all need to see. First, by starting by getting their GED,
Yes, it's the start.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the start.
Exactly.
And, it's exactly, so, one of the things that I recently heard, and I thought this was so pivotal and parallel to all of us and the learners, is that the magic you are looking for is in the work that we're all avoiding. Yeah. And that really resonated for me in my life. I know that it resonates with our learners because it's hard, right? Everything about going back to school, if your K through 12 system was really difficult, is hard. Not having your high school diploma is hard. Not having a job where you're getting a paycheck is hard. Having a job, working is hard. It's really around, what do you choose as your hard? Like, what is the hard thing that you're going to do? Because everything that we do, and in fact, for so many of us out there listening, so many of us that we see every day, just getting out of bed some days is hard. Just knowing that I have to get out of bed, do things that I might not want to do, or, maybe I'm in a job that I don't love. And maybe it's because I know that I have to do the work to get it. Maybe I have to go get my GED. Maybe I got to take some skilling courses to get me to the next level in my job. So what is Kelly Blair's hard? What is the hard for you every day? And why is it that you keep going? What is it that gets you out of bed?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because it makes me emotional, because I think my hard is the part of my story that most people don't see, right? And I like to call it, Kelly gets a GED part 2, the part that people don't see. My successes are always celebrated, and that I'm a person that keeps pushing forward, and I have to keep pushing forward. But the part 2 is where, like, Kelly smacks into a wall, and I didn't know what to do. My failures, if you want to see them as failures, after getting the degree, after being a successful, teacher, and after, winning an award and doing all kinds of things that I never thought that I would do. And then life got difficult for me, and I wasn't expecting that to happen. Much like how, our GED learners are not expecting difficulties sometimes that are going to occur. And it's very defeating. It's very defeating. Yeah. It's like I got to the point where even my mental health became unstable. And that's something I think we don't talk about enough either, is mental health, especially our population, and the importance of the mental health. I mean, I had issues that have always been there, but it was never addressed because it couldn't be addressed. There were other things that needed to be done first. And when this platform that I finally have started to get hard, but I kept thinking I can't stop. I had to keep pushing forward.
Can't stop.
Keep pushing forward no matter what. That I didn't realize that things were going downhill fast. Issues from my childhood, memories kept popping up. I lost my confidence. I became diagnosed as bipolar. And then I got to the point where, you know what? Everyone who thought that I was nothing but this juvenile delinquent, they were right. And it brought me down so much where I hid. I would hide from phone calls, from emails, and I did it for a few years. Until I got the help that I needed. And then, I was throwing away awards. This wasn't me. It was just, a fluke, and those doubts just came running back. But then, I had to think of things differently. And my heart is still here. I still have those thoughts, in the back of my head. And there are days where it's hard to get up in the morning because I keep thinking, what am I doing? And am I the person that should be doing this? Am I worthy? A lot of times our learners are always asking themselves, am I worthy of this? And, don't realize that they are, no matter what, just because of the experiences they've gone through. And it's hard to look at success and accept it. Right. And so, and so I carry this baggage, the scars. But then I had to learn. And I learned this one day. I have to share with you. One day I was teaching science and I was teaching a physical science, right? And in my head, I was mentally somewhere else, with my students. I kept saying, I got to continue this. I got to continue this. But my science lesson focused on physics and acceleration. And I remember, when I was going around and doing talks, and so forth, PBS made a coloring book of my life. And I would go around the country signing coloring books with the words, keep pushing forward. Right. And at that moment, I thought forward is not the right expression, because when you say keep pushing forward, it indicates that success is only in front of us and it can't be to the left. It can't be to the right. It means that if we go backwards, we're failing. And at that point in my life, I thought that I was failing because I was falling so fast. I was doing way too much, but I felt like I couldn't stop because I didn't want to let anybody down. And so I decided to, it came to my head, my aha moment, acceleration is a better word. And so now I sign things, I talk to people and I talk about keep accelerating, because accelerating. Right. Acceleration is the same indication of a positive movement. Right. But with acceleration is the change of direction and speed. Success is not linear. And so that's what
there you go. There's our science lesson for the day, Kelly. It's acceleration. Keep going, keep moving.
That's everything happens for a reason. And so, hey, sometimes you have to turn left, sometimes you have to turn right, sometimes you have to go around for a few seconds or slow down. It's all acceleration. And so I have to think about that very often when you talk about, what's my heart and why do I keep doing it?
You got to keep accelerating. I love it. And let's just talk for a second that Kelly Blair-Har has a color book out there. So anyone that has a color book and wants to bring it forward, we'd love to see it. I've seen it. It's fantastic. And again, it goes back to Carla, right? It's the one person that looked at you coloring at work and said, you know what, Kelly, you have more in your bag. You have more that you can accelerate at. There's more that you can do. And again, it ties back to we're all one person and we all have the ability to change the lives of every single one of us around us. And, that brings me into, when I think about where we're headed, Kelly, and it pains me. It pains me. And this is what gets me out of bed every day is that there's 40 million adults out there today, 40 million walking around without a high school diploma. And it just is not right. And it's exactly why you and I are here. It's why all of the adult educators out, the 70,000 that we have across the United States are out doing what they're doing. But it's not enough. It's not enough and it can't be enough. So for you, for me, when you're talking to aunts, uncles, parents, grandparents, teachers, neighbors, whoever it is in your life, saying to yourself, 40 million, we have to get to these 40 million. What would you say to them? What can they do to get someone to accelerate and to go do what they need to do to go get their GED?
I think that that there's a fear that if they're not walking the same walk or talking the same talk or struggling the same way, that there's nothing that they can do. And that's so untrue. Again, it goes back to being able to support someone. And not even so much as a content area. I see that a lot too. Well, I don't know the GD math or I don't know the GD language arts or so forth, right? And it's not about the content area. It's not about having to relate, but empathy and understanding and just being that cheerleader. I think that every person has the ability to be the light at the end of the tunnel. So for that GD learner, because that GD learner also needs to appreciate the people that are around them and find those people that are around them. It's very easy to walk with someone side by side until they get to the point where they need them, and then you're with them for life because it becomes that partnership, that relationship, and then that person can also pay it forward.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so I love it because it's always easy to walk next to someone versus in front of or behind. And what we have to do is we have to make everyone feel like we're all the same. We're all in this together. There's no one that's better because they don't have a high school diploma. There's no one that's worse. We are all the same humans. And everyone deserves, at a minimum, their high school diploma.
Right.
And the ability to then go on to do more.
Right.
So I couldn't agree with you more.
And then I think also too, it's very important for, that friend, that coworker, that aunt, that uncle, everyone that can, reach out, is to help the GED learner realize the greatness they already have, because it's not pointed out.
That's right.
Because they're always focused on the failures and what they have to do, etc. And then I know when, my GED instructor from Job Corps had said, oh, there's something great about you. And I looked at her like she was crazy. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she started pointing out the things that I can do. And that felt good. And I held on to that. I latched onto that because I wanted to grow it.
Yeah. It's hard because, again, every learner that we talk to, we know that something's holding them back. We know that whether it was their experience in education, whether it was education wasn't a priority, we know that the number one reason all of our learners don't earn their GED today is fear of failure.
Yeah.
Right? They don't want to repeat maybe what had already happened to them, or maybe they just had such a bad experience in school that they're traumatized by that. And so you and I have talked about this. We know that April is Mental Health Awareness Month. We know many of us as Americans suffer from depression, from anxiety, from OCD, from trauma, some kind of trauma in our life. Imposter syndrome. I'm not worthy, right? I'm not worthy of this GED. I'm not worthy of education. I can't do it. And it is paralyzing to our learners. We know this. I've talked to thousands of learners, and every single learner I've talked to said, you could have told me that I was ready to test. I could have taken every practice test that you gave me. It told me I was ready to go. And I still was caught in my own fear, in my own imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough. Kelly, I know that you and I have had deep conversations about this. Talk to everyone about the how, the why, and what to do with that, because I know it's hitting more learners than we even talk about. And you're right. We have to talk about it more.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you said about the imposter syndrome, because, of course, as a GED graduate myself, I've been there and done that. It's just even with, all the degrees that I have, all the success that I have, I suffer from severe imposter syndrome. And so it's difficult for me to go to board meetings. It's difficult for me to do things like this because I still do not feel that I'm worthy of it, because of the circumstances of how I grew up. So I understand, the adult learner. We all at some point, feel that. And it is very difficult to believe that you are worthy of wanting more for yourself. And so again, it goes back to when you find that person, that group, that support system that helps you realize that every single time that feeling comes towards you, right? And I think it's important to know, and I want, all, my fellow GED graduates and my learners, to understand that it's normal to feel that way. Everybody at some point feels, imposter, syndrome, especially that, or feel that they're not worthy of doing something, or feel that this can't be right. I didn't score 156 on my practice test. I'm not going to go take the real test, because they're used to the failure. And that's what's so important for us to be able to address. So I'm glad that you had said that and brought, awareness to it, because, it's okay. It's okay to talk about, and it's okay to feel that way, because at some point we all do.
We all do. And in fact, no one would expect this from me. I get it all the time. Yeah. Vicki, how could you possibly be nervous talking? How could you look like you everything, and come on. Of course we're nervous. Of course we all want to do a good job, but that can't hinder us. And so again, this comes down to the one human that's in your ear all the time. And, the favorite thing for me to do every day, and I feel so grateful to have this, is that showing everyone their potential. Yeah. There's nothing greater that when you can see the eyes of our GED learner on what they can do, and then who they are, and show them who they are in a way that they don't see themselves.
Right.
it's, there's nothing greater out there for us. And again, I think that's what you'll see with everyone at GED, every adult educator out there. Everyone wants you to succeed, and everyone wants to be in your corner and be there to help you succeed in your dreams. So it's so good. So I'm going to take us back. So when I was looking for a board seat, so this is 4 years ago, roughly, I was looking to fill board seats for the GED board. And Kelly and I had interviewed, and we had talked, and we had lots of conversations about it. And in one of the first meetings that we had, she said, Vicki, I did not even know you existed. I didn't know that there was an entire team behind GED. And I do get that question a lot. Like, wow, I didn't know the GED had a company. I didn't know there was people. I just thought it was a test run through the state, right? I get that all the time. And one of the things that you said to me that I will never forget and hit me really hard, and it was really honest, it was really impactful, and it was, Vicki, you have to be more than the GED logo. You have to be. And everyone needs to see you. They need to feel you. They need to understand you. And they need to see and feel everyone at GED. And I remember thinking to myself, Vicki, you are more than a logo. What are you doing? Why are you not getting out there? Why aren't you having conversations like this so that everyone can see who we are and what we do and why we do it? And so, Kelly, I would love for you to talk to all of the learners, educators, employers out there listening. Who is GED? What is it that we do? And why is it so critical to the lives of the 40 million that are out there that we have not impacted yet?
I remember that interview, and I remember saying that, and I thought, oh my God, I just blew it. But I couldn't help but just to be
No, you didn't. It was so good.
I couldn't help but to be completely honest about it. Right. And so I just wanted to be as honest as I possibly could, because in that moment, I realized that, yes, GED testing service is more than a logo. When you're as an educator, and also, as a learner, that's all you see. It's those letters, GED. And so having the opportunity to be on the inside, I no longer see GED testing service as just that logo, just that test, right? I see the hardworking individuals, who make things happen. And I believe the hardworking individual I see, yourself and everybody else that I've been fortunate enough to meet, are doing what they do because they are influenced and inspired by the real educators and learners who are out there, right? And so, I can feel that. And so I'm proud that what I see now, instead of having to step on the inside, I had to step on the inside to see that, right? Of GED testing service. GED testing service is now stepping outside. And so doing things like this podcast, what we've done with the website, the social media, et cetera, and all the resources and tiers of layers of support system that's there. And I'm glad that we're doing that. I'm glad to be a part of that. I'm glad to help represent that, because that's what it is. GED testing service is more than that test. It really truly is the gateway, the inspiration, the path for a greater future for all adult learners. And so being able to have the ability, GED testing service, to step on the outside and reach to the learner and the educator is amazing. And so the last couple of years, with this, and I'm glad that's impacted you, because it has me. And so that's why I do what I do too.
And it's so good, because again, I think so often so many learners don't really know. They don't know how to navigate all of the processes that are set up by our society. And so even looking at the GED, for someone who doesn't know where it resides, who it is, what they're about, it's good for everyone to hear the truth, which is it's a group of individuals that are passionate about the learner, and everything that we do is centered around the learner, whether that's helping them with study materials, getting them tutoring, helping them understand what it is that they have to do within their state. What are the rules within the state? Everything that we do at GED is about the learner, and how do we get the learner what they need to succeed. And so it's been so good for you to be on the outside and now on the inside, and doing both, telling us and helping us, navigate on behalf of the learner, but us as an organization. And one of the things that, we've been doing over the last several years is how do we start getting with employers? And so when you think about it as an employer, every employer that I talk to says, I need help getting and recruiting really good humans. I need people in the door that I can trust. I need hardworking. I need people that once they're in, I can upskill them. And, we know that the GED is a means for that. So we started GED Works, which is where the employer pays for their existing employee to get their GED, or they can recruit someone from the outside and help them get their GED. It's called GED Works. We know that our data is telling us that when an employer invests in their employees' education, retention improves, my dedication to my employer improves. I now tell my friends and family about the employer that invested in me as a human and my education and my well-being. And so GED Works is a great opportunity for every employer out there to really invest in the greater good. It's not only the right thing to do for your organization, it's the right thing to do as a social responsibility. Let's help as many learners out there, the 40 million that are out there. Let's do this together as an employer, as leaders, as decision makers. And so when I think about the direction of where we're going as a society, right? AI is in the front line of everything. What's going to happen with jobs in AI? Technology. Everyone is needing technology jobs. Healthcare is in crisis. There's not enough healthcare workers, teachers, educators. And you can kind of go down the line, manufacturing, green energy jobs, new collar jobs, all of that. So when you think about this and you think about the GED learner and the 40 million and the 150,000 learners that we graduate every year, how are employers at the heart of this conversation and investing in GED learners and also taking a stance that says, I'm going to invest in the lives of the 40 million? What do you say to those employers?
When you earn your GED, I think that that it is a testament, let's say, to a person's grit and tenacity. Because of, as an adult, there's always other things that we have going on at the same time. I mean, there is how to study doing quadratic equations while also balancing being a parent, and a wife and mother and all types of other responsibilities that are there. And so I think it's a true demonstration of tenacity, of grit, and being responsible, and an example of perseverance, especially those learners that are struggling with subject areas, but they keep going for it. They find the resources to help them out and do what it takes. And that is success. What employer wouldn't want those personality traits of an employee? Someone that has the tenacity, the shiny example of perseverance, and someone who can bring a load of experience with them that could behoove a company. So I believe that, that's what employers should be looking for, and they can find that in an adult learner who has earned their GED. And I also think too that that we are doing a good job with it's so cool to be able to say we as being part of GED.
I love that we can say we.
And I have to say that because it's still a little surreal to me. Sometimes, like, wow, how did I get here? But I think it's so cool that we're doing a good job, and we'll continue to do so to make sure that our learners, our graduates, are exposed to these type of jobs that will lead to a better future, because that hasn't been done before, whether going on to higher education or going on to, a better, career, more, a service career job that will help them, financially, of course, but also where there's a way that's up and not, just stuck in the same place. And so I think we do a good job with exposing that and say, hey, did you know you can do this? Do you know that you were capable of doing this? And so I'm very happy about that. And I want, employers to know that, the GED graduate is a great way to have an employee that has the personality traits that are desired.
It's so true. And, even let's just use you as an example. And so if you looked at your life story, which again has a lot of parallels to a lot of our learners, some learners have had easier life circumstances, some have had really challenging as yours. But when you look at your life and you look at all that you went through and all that you prevailed, it took grit. It took just hardcore grit, determination, willpower. And you still to this day have a special place in your heart for Carla and the teacher.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is that, when you think about where we're going as a society, the 4-year degree is daunting to exactly the reasons that you said. I have kids, I have a mortgage, I
Right.
have rent, I have food. And so a 4-year degree, although everyone wants to achieve it and everyone wants to go on and get more after getting your high school diploma or your GED, it's a lot. It's a lot to take. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of everything. And so for me, as employers, we talk out there in the market all the time about skills-based hiring, right? Everyone's saying, oh, we're going to drop the 4-year degree and we're going to do skills-based hiring. However, employers, we all do this. Every one of us does this, where we still look at the resume and we say, but this individual has a 4-year degree. This one does not. This one has more job experience. This one does not. And so for me, the conversation is it can't be what's on the resume. It can't be. It has to be about the whole human, what that individual has gone through, what they've shown that they can do. And sometimes those skills don't show up on a resume, like how I'm going to navigate an organization, how I'm going to have grit, how I'm going to fight through things, how I'm going to work together as a team, because I know that more gets accomplished as a team. And so for me, as a hiring manager, and we have GED grads at GED, as you know this, Kelly, that work for us. I love all of the individuals that earn their GED because there's one thing in common is they're grateful to have gone through the experience and they're proud. They are proud that they earned their GED. And so as a hiring manager, if you were to go out and look for skills and you were looking for someone to fill jobs, why as a manager would I look at two individuals, one that has a college degree and one that has a GED but wants to go on to school? Why would you hire? Why would you hire a GED grad versus someone with a 4-year degree?
And that's such a good point. And it goes to a couple of things, right? So with the learner, sometimes we don't understand that the amount of grit, determination, and perseverance that we have, because we just see it as day-to-day living, surviving, right? And so we don't constitute as something that's positive that we're able to do, able to overcome those obstacles, right? And I think about my own experience with becoming a math teacher. And I'm not sure if I've even told you this before, but it's not like a math teacher is on my resume. I became a math teacher because I realized I have a math learning disability. Who would hire me if I outright said that? I have a math learning disability.
Right.
Just exactly like, you don't have a college diploma. Who would outright hire you for this position that typically requires the college diploma, right? But it was because I wanted to do this so bad. And knowing that math is the subject that most students struggle with, right? When I was diagnosed with the dyscalculia, I see numbers upside down, backwards. I can show you trigonometry, but I cannot tell you how to count from 0 to 30 backwards. It's amazing, but I had to overcome. Just like most stuff in my life, I had to overcome and do it. And then I wanted to have it somehow become a positive in my life. And so that's what I did. My grit, my determination to do the GED math. And to be able to teach math. And I think that is a skill, that's underestimated, just like you're saying with employers not necessarily seeing that. And so
that's right.
It is a skill, one of these life skills. And that's why, the soft skills and life skills are so much important. But it comes down to being able to recognize it. So I think that employers and the GED learner need to do something. And I think the ability to change their perspective of what's going on and be able to see it in another route where it becomes a strength,
It absolutely is a strength. And that's the thing that, you see, I see is that our GED learners have strengths that don't show up on paper. They just don't. They have strengths. And so as you're sitting in your class, you're talking to learners like I'm talking to learners, and they're saying, I'm looking to get a job. I want to get a job. I want an employer to invest in me. What are the learners saying that employers are saying to them right now? What is holding back the learners from getting a job in the market?
I think when it comes down to a couple of things, I'll say a couple of things, right? I'll say one, it's the lack of knowledge about a particular job that they could possibly do, and because they don't know that they could do that job, even if they don't even have experience within it. And then exposure again, it comes down to exposure, and then being able to realize the strengths that they do have, whether they've ever had a job before or not, but taking the strengths that they do have through earning their high school diploma and finally making it and turning that into, this is an ability and skill that I have. And so that's what the GED learner needs to see, the GED graduate needs to see, instead of remaining status quo. I see so many students I run into, they have to get their GED because their current job is on a chopping block if they don't, and so that's all that they would reach for. And I would tell them, hey, did you know you could possibly do this? Did you know that you could possibly do this? And so that, again, it goes back to that exposure component of it. And then helping our learners to understand that the possibilities that are out there that they've never seen before because it was never presented to them.
It's so true. So it feels like we have to look at this from a couple different ways. On the side of the learner saying, I don't even know what's out there. I really don't. I think that there's things I can do, but I don't know how to navigate it. And then on the employer side is how do we do things differently? How do we open the eyes of others out there that we want to recruit? How do we talk about jobs? How do we talk about their abilities and skills and how we can, recruit them to come to our organizations? And, Kelly, it kind of, it's one of those things that I was asked a year ago in our conference. Someone stood up, an adult educator said to me, Vicki, if I gave you a magic wand, what would you want everyone to do and know? And it was a really tough question for me at first. And my response was that I wish everyone could see the GED learner through my eyes. And it was who they are is so much deeper as humans, as their skills, their abilities, their willingness to do and try. And again, it comes down to that determination. And so part of me thinks that we still have this looming cloud over the GED, right? There's a stigmatism that says, gosh, you got your high school diploma or you got your GED? You got your GED. How do we get rid of that? Because here's what you and I know very well is that the GED learner is no different than you and I, looks no different, may have different circumstances, may have taken a different path, but they're both paths. And one doesn't mean it's good, one isn't bad. And so how do we, as a society, how do you and I, and how does everyone listening say, how do we get rid of that stigma that's tied to the GED brand?
I think what we're doing right now does that because we're getting the word out there. GED testing service, like I was saying, I love saying that word, we. It like warms my heart. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so grateful to be part of such a powerful movement. And I'll call it a movement because that's what we're doing. Again, more than just that diploma. What you're doing, as president CEO is transforming the GED, and that's what's needed. And so that learners can understand that what the GED truly means and not be afraid to say, yes, I have a GED. When I walk out, I do have to fight the imposter syndrome sometimes, but I can say, be proud of, I have a GED, and you would not believe the amount of people that get surprised. What? I'm like, yeah, but then I get to say how difficult it was to get to where I am. And then there's a much more appreciation. So also I think what helps is that our learners, be proud of who they are and how they got there, no matter what.
That's right.
Like, yes. I do not regret anything that has happened in my life. I still get emotional and sad about it, but if it didn't happen, I wouldn't be the person who I am. And, I'm proud of who I am proud of who I am. Like I said, I have my days, but I am proud of who I am. And I know that I don't think I would be the same strong person if I had not gone through it, and so you had said that you had wished with that one wish that you wish that everybody saw the GED learner like you see them. And And I would say my wish is that I wish that every G learner would see them how I see them. Right.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
to help
Yes.
illuminate that you are a powerful person and be proud of who you are, where you are in your moment of life and where you're going. So I think what we're
That's
doing,
right.
and all the, like, again, layers and layers of service, and getting out there, not staying inside a GD testing service underneath behind that logo, but getting out in front of it. We are doing it. We are doing it.
We are doing it. We are doing it. And I love that we're doing it together. It's a
Yeah.
we. We're all in this together. It has to be a we. We can't do this. And even though you as individuals, me, you, Kelly, as individuals have a role to impact learners, we have to do this as a society. We have to look differently. We have to think differently. We have to act differently. And we have to give the GED learner an opportunity. And that's what it's about. And so, Kelly, this is, I'm going to give you the last word. I'm going to have you wrap before we run into jump into a fun game at the end. So for you and for me, this is a lifelong, this is a passion that's never going to go away. This is something that we're in for life.
Yeah.
We're here, we're going to do this work, and we're going to keep trucking, and we're going to keep going along, and we're going to keep impacting as many lives as possible. So bring it home, Kelly. You get the last word. What do you want to tell every single learner, educator, employer out there?
I would say, seize the moment, be in that moment, and don't let go of it, because it's too easy sometimes to be in the moment and all of a sudden life difficulties gets in the way and then you lose it and never gain it back. But to understand that there will never, for the learner, right? There will never be that perfect time where studying for that GED is right. Never.
Yes.
Okay.
Never.
And so
No.
you still have to keep it in the forefront and remember, looking out for that person, that mentor that we would love for everyone to have, that's at the end of the tunnel, shining that light for you, and to seize the moment of every day of the possibility of where your future could lead. And that's what I would leave, with the learner, is to get it done, because you can get it done. There's no such I can't. It can be done, right? And
It can be
yeah,
done.
it can be done. And to, I always say, it's funny because I know GD is like general education diploma, but I tend to call it get everything done, because every learner can, because every learner
Get
can
everything
get
done.
everything
There you go. I like that one better. Yeah.
because
Love it.
the learner, that's what they're able to do, right? And so yeah,
Yes.
and just to seize the moment
Get
and
everything
get it
done.
done. Yeah.
All right. I love it. So you heard it here. Get it done. GED stands for get it
Get
done
everything
now.
done.
Okay. So Kelly, we're going to have some fun. I want everyone to learn about Kelly Blair-Har, not only your story and your passion behind the GED learner, but let's hear who you are. So ready?
Okay.
Ready for some fun?
Okay.
All right, let's do this. All right. True or false? You are a morning person.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I don't know why, or whether it's ADHD, the caffeine drinks, or it's natural. I think it's natural. And so, because, my mind will start kicking in every day. I think every day is a learning experience. What I get to do, I think with my list of things to do, there's always something to learn, unless it's dishes or
There's
laundry,
always
right?
something.
Unless it's dishes or laundry
Yeah.
or something like that. Every part of my day, there is something to learn, and I'm motivated by that. And so my brain kicks in, 4:00 in the morning, and I get up and I'm like, what can I do today that makes a difference?
You're ready to
Yeah.
roll. You're ready to go. I love it. Okay, good. So you are a morning person. All right, Kelly, true or false? You have a rat as a pet.
3, actually. There's 3.
I don't know how. I don't know why. I'm going to love you and still stay connected to you. We're going to move on really quickly. Kelly Blair-Har has 3 rats, pet rats. That is true. And here's an interesting question. You love math. Do you love math? True or false?
No, I don't. And I know it's funny because I'm wearing this math shirt that says be greater than average, but I don't love math. And again, because I struggled with it when I was in school before I discovered my dyscalculia, whichever, but I've learned to appreciate it. And once the appreciation was there and how to overcome my discomfort with it, I began to enjoy it. I do math every day,
Yes.
every day.
It's fascinating because, again, as someone who teaches math And just a fun fact about Kelly is that 100% of the students that attend Kelly's class pass math, the toughest subject, the one that everyone struggles with. I mean, how many of us out there love math? Even Kelly, who teaches it, doesn't love math, but she's figured it out. You figured out a way to do it and to have fun with it and appreciate it. So I think that's the story there. If you had one song that you could not give up and that you'd listen to for the rest of your life, what is it? This is going to tell a lot about you, Kelly.
Well, then let me choose another song. So
no, you gotta go with what is really important. What's the song that if you're going to go to your playlist, what's that song that you go?
I would say at least currently, and for like last years, I've listened to it every day, pretty much all day. Beautiful Trauma by Pink.
Oh, that's a good one. That's got a lot in it.
Yes.
Maybe we unpack that at another podcast, but I love that. And how can you not love Pink and she's amazing. So, okay, good answer. Would you rather be a singer or a dancer?
I've been a step coach, when teaching middle school and high school. So I did the dance thing for quite a bit, but I'm starting to realize the older I get, I think my voice is raspier, especially in a car. So I think I can be a diva singer. I would love to do that. So singing.
All right, we'll go with it. Dream vacation.
Disneyland.
Disney. All right, we got to make it happen. One of these days when you win an award, they're going to say, Kelly, what's next for you? And you're going to say Disney.
I'm going to go to Disney. Wanted to meet Cinderella. Good. Yeah.
Okay. And so I think as you and I have got to know each other, I look at you as all these amazing superpowers in your backpack. But if there was one that you could choose, what would be your superpower out there?
To immediately understand and be able to speak every language so I can reach to every adult learner.
Oh, so good. So good. Because we know we have lots of learners that speak lots of languages, and it's hard. It's hard when you can't communicate with someone and help them and guide them. Yeah. Okay. I love that. And then last question, but a big one.
Okay.
One wish. I grant you one wish. What would it be?
One wish. I would wish, and it goes back to the adult learners. I wish that every adult learner again saw the potential that I see without even knowing them, and also every educator to see the potential they have to change the lives of the adult learner. That's one wish. Yeah.
And such a good wish. A big one, but such a good wish and the right wish. Okay, Miss Kelly Blair-Har, how fun has this been? Good?
Yeah. This has been great. You're so easy to talk to, so I appreciate that. And I look forward to what comes next.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being honest, raw, telling your story. I know it's not easy. And this being on a podcast and being vulnerable is not easy for you. And it's not easy for the 40 million Americans out there without their high school diploma. Yeah. So thank you for taking the time. Thank you for your advocacy, for all that you do for every learner, for me, for everyone at GED. You are a gift.
Thank you.
You're a gift to everyone that you touch. So grateful to you. And to all of our listeners, to GED learners who are in the process, or maybe you haven't started your GED, you heard it here. We all want you to succeed. You have what it takes to succeed. Let us know how we can help you. Start with GED.com. Go there, sign up for your account, get started, and let us help you on your journey. The first step of your journey is earning your GED. And for all the GED learners out there that already have your GED, keep going. Keep looking for ways to advance your skills. Employers, if you're looking for really, really solid, grit-driven, determined individuals, you know where to start. Look at GED.com for GED Works, and look for GED learners that are looking for you to invest in them. And last but not least, remember, it only takes one person, one human, to change the lives of millions. And so my ask of each and every one of you is to be that one person. Be that individual that shows someone else their capabilities, their ability to not only fill a job, a role, but to open their eyes to things that they may not even see about themselves. Be the the Carla of the coloring book for Kelly Blair-Har. Be the educator that we all need and be the leader that every individual out there is looking for. So thank you for joining our first podcast. I'm excited to launch our next one in a few weeks, where I will have the great Tom Moore, who is the founder of With You With Me, a company that invests in technology skills for individuals. And his story is fascinating. His passion for the GED learner is contagious. And I'm excited for all of you to meet him and to hear his story as well. So thank you. And one last thing, we will be launching a GED app. So please look out for the GED app to launch in the next couple weeks. In the meantime, you can go to the Apple Store, look for it. It is called GED and Me. It is the only sponsored GED app out there. So again, GED and Me, look for it on the Apple Store in the next 2 weeks. And again, thanks for joining. We're excited to bring to you every couple weeks the GED podcast. Take care.